Hello and welcome to Reggie'sTake.com, podcast number 9. I'm your host, Reggie. Before I get around to introducing my guest today, I want to take a second here and I want to talk about Leonard Nimoy, who we all know passed away on February 27th at the age of 83. Mr. Nimoy enjoyed a long and successful career as an actor, director, photographer, and author. But of course, he will always be best remembered for his portrayal as everyone's favorite science officer, Mr. Spock, in Star Trek, both in television and film. His career in Hollywood lasted more than 6 decades. Besides his acting, he also directed several Hollywood films. He directed Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. In 1987, he directed the highest-grossing movie of the year with 3 Men and a Baby. No matter what else he did in his life or career, Spock was always not too far away. At one time in the 1970s, Mr. Nimoy tried to distance himself from the character of Spock, but eventually embraced Spock. He wrote once, "I am not Spock, but given the choice, if I had to be someone else, I would be Spock. If someone said, you can have the choice of being any other TV character ever played, I would choose Spock. I like him, I admire him, I respect him." Close quote. I never had the opportunity to meet Mr. Nimoy in person, and I wish I had. Of all the characters from the original series and films, the character of Spock was probably my favorite of them all. Yes, I know Mr. Shatner was technically the star of the show as Captain Kirk, but a little Kirk and Shatner could go a long way. As a fan of Mr. Nimoy and his work as Spock on Star Trek, I know I don't have to go no further than my video collection in order to watch him portray probably one of the most famous characters in science fiction history. Some of my favorite Spock moments came on film and on television. His guest appearance on Star Trek The Next Generation in the 2-part episode Unification is one of my favorite episodes of that series. Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home showed us Spock with a sense of humor, after being brought back from the dead in Star Trek III. His appearance in the 2009 reboot Star Trek movie directed by J.J. Abrams was a big reason why I like that movie. And of course, who can forget Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, as Spock sacrifices himself in order to save the ship and crew from Khan himself. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. Mr. Nimoy himself must have known his time was close to being up. In his last posting to Twitter just 4 days before his passing, he wrote, quote, "A life is like a garden. Perfect moments can be had, but not preserved, except in memory. LLAP." Zachary Quinto, who took on the role of Spock in the rebooted movies, shared his sorrow with these wonderful words. "My heart is broken. I love you profoundly, my dear friend, and I will miss you every day. May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest." We here at Reggie's Take send our condolences and prayers to Mr. Nimoy's family. Mr. Nimoy will be missed, his talents lost, but not forgotten. Live long and prosper. And with that depressing part of the podcast out of the way, I want to take a second and introduce my guest, James.
Hey, guys.
Thanks for
How's it going?
Thanks for
Woo!
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, Reggie. That was really beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Real quick, while we're on the subject of Spock, what was your favorite Leonard Nimoy Spock or moment or anything with Leonard Nimoy?
Actually, my favorite thing would be on The Simpsons when Leonard Nimoy made a couple guest appearances, but there was the monorail episode, and Leonard Nimoy was the celebrity guest of honor that they had. It was actually, the episode was written by Conan O'Brien, and Leonard Nimoy was Springfield's guest of honor to ride the first monorail. And of course, the monorail was it was sort of like Wichita's Wild West world. The monorail, the guy who built the monorail was a swindler, and the whole thing was like going out of control, and everyone was probably going to die on it. But then all of a sudden, since it's like solar powered, they're like, "Don't worry, guys, there's an eclipse." And a solar eclipse. It's a really weird episode. All of a sudden, a solar eclipse just happens right there. And on this, like, flying death machine, Leonard Nimoy looks out the window and says, "A solar eclipse. The cosmic ballet dances on." And then the guy sitting next to him goes, "Can somebody switch me seats?" And that is my favorite. That is my favorite Leonard Nimoy moment ever. Another one was the Simpsons sister show, Futurama. Leonard Nimoy was on that quite a bit too. And I don't know if you ever watched Futurama, but it takes place in the future.
Yeah.
And so, like, whenever they have celebrity guest voices, they just have their cloned heads in a jar. It's kind of stupid, but it works. I guess. And so basically the story was all the cloned heads of the Star Trek characters were going to move away to a different planet because the Trekkies had just become far too violent and too much for them to handle, so they all move away. And William Shatner's cloned head says to Leonard Nimoy's, Leonard, why are you staying here? Won't you come with us where it's safe? And Leonard Nimoy says, William, you are my friend, and I will miss you and always cherish you. But I cannot leave, for I have a 6-month lease on my apartment, and that that is a commitment I cannot break.
Of course, it's almost been a month since he's passed, and I would like to know something sooner, but life gets in the way. But I figured, even though I posted something online already on my website, I had to take a second and do something on the podcast.
Big enough. Like, he's one of those guys. Same with Robin Williams last year. I mean, he's one of those guys that
irreplaceable.
Yeah, completely. And he wasn't supposed to die. It kind of feels like. Thank God his death isn't as tragic as Robin Williams was.
No, his was just as he blamed it on smoking.
Yeah.
And he admitted it.
That's right.
So,
yeah, he had. What did he die of?
Oh, you would ask that. Complications from
COPD.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I was talking with somebody else, might even been my wife, but if you set aside the rest of the original cast that's still around, other than Shatner and the rest who haven't passed yet, I was trying to think of who would be the next big Star Trek actor that would be a huge loss, and I can only come up with one person.
George Takei?
No, original cast aside.
Oh, well, of course.
Patrick Stewart. That's the only one I could really come up with that would be a huge...
and he's, and for my generation, like, I identify him more as Professor X than I do Captain Picard.
Yeah.
Which, the look in your eyes was a little bit of horror, disgust, and...
No, that's all right. No, you're fine. But of all the, because of the other 3 or 4 shows they had, I mean, Next Generation cast was the only ones that really were spun off in the movies. So you don't have.
Well, and the Next Generation, I know it was on when I was a kid, and I would watch it occasionally. I'd hate to say it, but when I was a kid, I thought it was kind of boring. Sorry.
I think Star Trek is an acquired taste.
Well, the original one is fun. The original one is like, and here's the thing with a lot of Trekkies that they forget is that, they're like, well, it's always about like cerebral thought and higher learning. And it's like, yeah, right. The original one was stupid. Like, it's like Captain Kirk has to shoot or bone everything in sight. Like, I mean, it's just like each episode did have like some sort
and it was
social parable, but so did everything else back then. So did Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, they weren't breaking new ground in that regard. They did by showing how they broke new ground was by having a diverse cast.
Well, I started looking. Of
course, the first interracial kiss.
Yeah, right. And I started looking on YouTube.
In history, not on television.
I started looking on YouTube and found an interview he had done early 2000s with, I believe it was 60 Minutes and CBS. Mm-hmm. And you know who he credited for the Star Trek movies finally being made?
Who?
George Lucas. Because of the success of Star Wars in '77, Paramount wasn't thinking movies. They were thinking of bringing back the TV show. Yeah. And because of the success of Star Wars, it changed Paramount's complete thinking. And he said if it hadn't been for Star Wars, the movies might not have ever gotten off the ground.
Star Wars is very much like, when you look back, not only like all of a sudden movies got big. Star Wars is a movie that you could either look at and say it is the best thing that has happened to cinema,
or the worst because of the sequels.
You can. Well, not just because of the sequels, but like, we really don't get, like, the 70s were really like breaking down and film and art and what is okay and what it, like, like, we're really not gonna ever get movies, or we still will, but not to the degree of like Taxi Driver or The Godfather and stuff like that. we're not going to really get movies like that. And if we do, they're not going to be mainstream.
No.
Like, and those movies were mainstream because that's, what they were showing in the movies. Like, it was, but after Star Wars, now that said, a lot of, like, these big, epic action movies are really good. Mm-hmm. Like, I love them. Right. They are really good. So it just depends on who you ask. I would say I'm the type of person that always kind of looks at it from both sides. It's like, it kind of is the best thing to have in the cinema. It's kind of the worst thing to have in the cinema. But, like, you try to be positive. It's like, well, it brought back Star Trek, not only in the movies, but also, like, the Next Generation TV show happened because the movies were successful, right?
Pretty much. I would say the success of the movies allowed Roddenberry to be able to afford to be able to bring back
and the
television.
Next Generation TV show, while I'm not a big fan, one of these days I'll go through and watch them all, but while I'm not a big fan, that show was a very smart TV show. It was definitely about higher thought. And,
oh, yeah.
Like, I mean,
it had a lot
really
of... Then the first 3.5, possibly 4 seasons had a lot of influence of Roddenberry.
Yeah.
Not Roddenberry. Yeah, Gene Roddenberry. But, of course, he passed early part of the 5th season when he died. The Star Trek Next Generation was just entering its 5th season when he passed away. So after that, Rick Berman and those people kind of took over and
mucked it up.
They varied it a little bit from his vision of it, but then again, there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, different people breathe in new life, and that was fine.
And that's why, like, I don't, for the most part, I'm okay with the J.J. Like, first off, I love the first J.J. Abrams.
Right, and we've discussed this before.
And it's like the old 60s TV show was kind of dumb at times. Like, it was an action show. Like,
it's like Star Trek, the original,
the
original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, they were all different.
It doesn't matter what shows of those you watch. There's going to be good episodes. There's lousy episodes.
Yeah. And the second one was good too. I like the first one better. The second one was weird because the ending, on the one hand, again, I'm taking both sides. On the one hand, I really liked the nod to Wrath of Khan at the end. But on the other hand, it was like, I would have liked to see something new, honestly. like I get what they were doing, but
right.
I would have preferred to see
and I think I said on my last podcast that you were on, and we touched on the Star Trek movies and the hardcore Trekkers and Trekkies who just bash those things. I really found it as more of a twist of the original episode of Space Seed. Is really what I saw that as. It wasn't. A lot of people compare it Wrath of Khan. That was their first encounter with Khan, so I don't see how you can say it was the Wrath of Khan. Yes, they shouldn't have gone with Khan for the second movie, for the second villain. Should have stayed away from him. I agree, but they did it. You can't go back and change it. But
I like Cumberbatch or whatever.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch. Really yes, he's a very good actor, and probably going to get did he win an Oscar this year for the World War II movie, or that life of that guy who broke the code of the Germans? I can't remember. I don't remember.
Was that this year that came
Yeah, well, it came out late last year, but he was up for, I believe, Best Actor. I don't remember if he won or not, though.
Huh.
I don't remember the name. It eludes me right off the top of my head.
Have you ever seen Leonard Nimoy used to have one of his photo books was a tasteful, sensual photography of large women.
Really? Did not know that. I mean, I know he got into photography heavily, and he did a lot of that, but
it was really interesting. I mean, there's sensual photography, so like, don't buy it for your kid. 2-year-old, but, like.
And I'm sure
it
wasn't
also large, but
and I seriously doubt was it nude or just implied with the way they were covered.
I think there might have been a few nude shots. I don't know. But I mean, it was artistic. It was tasteful.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't
it
wasn't like porn.
Yeah. It wasn't Playboy, huh?
I would even say Playboy is fairly artistic. I don't know about artistic,
okay,
but tasteful.
Of the porn magazines, Playboy is probably on the low end of.
I wouldn't call Playboy porn.
No,
like,
it's well. I'm just saying if you can, a lot of people would put that in that.
Hustler.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah. Not that I've ever read Hustler. I haven't. I've never read Hustler. I've only looked at the pictures.
Okay, moving on.
Man, I brought all my A game to your show. And my show, I was like Mr. Nice Guy. What's going on here?
Oh my! I think you had the same reaction of what I posted about Empire Magazine had the readers vote on the 30 greatest superhero movies of all time.
Well, look,
Or,
I mean,
or at least what they have in their list, so-called superhero movies. I don't think we have a problem with what's on the list. It's the order their readers voted them onto the list.
And I know it's a different
audience.
I think it's a different audience because I mean, Empire Magazine is very much.
I think it's based.
Movies.
I think it's based in. Isn't Empire Magazine though based out of London though? I think.
I don't know that, but I know. I mean, it's for movies, and sometimes I have to remind myself that even today there are movies that are not superhero movies.
Well, see, because
you're looking at it from different angles,
right?
But
I had a question of because on their list they have Unbreakable on here, and there was another movie.
Well, not only that, but they have Unbreakable in the top 10, and that is just flat out.
Okay, first of all, I didn't even realize Unbreakable would be considered a superhero movie.
They force you to. It's technically, yes, it's a superhero movie, but
okay, is it comic based?
No.
Okay,
and I don't know, that's one that I don't even really consider a superhero movie as much as it is it is, but it's kind of trying to be like what The Watchmen was for the comics. It's like a take on the superhero genre is what it is to me. I wouldn't call it a flat out superhero. Have you ever seen it?
No, I have not.
It's M. Night Shyamalan.
And I know it has Samuel L. Jackson.
It's actually good,
doesn't it?
It's actually a really good movie. It was his second movie. It was before he went crazy and made crap. But I think it's better than Sixth Sense. Well, it's about as good.
Well, for anyone who's not
better than Signs.
Yeah.
And Signs was I really liked Signs when it came out, but looking back, it's kind of stupid. But Signs was really the last, at least halfway decent movie he made. And Signs has some scary stuff and it's cool, but then at the end it's oh wait, this whole movie's about this guy getting his religion back. Come on. It's still a decent movie, but then you get The Village, and at that point I was I'm done with you. Have you ever seen The Village?
No, I have not.
You know what it's about, right?
No.
It's so stupid. It looks like it takes place in the 17th century or whatever, and there's supposed to be these demons that walk around the village. As it turns out, it's just these people living in Central Park or something that have made up this crazy life for themselves, and it's modern day, and it's and that all just happens at the end. And at that point I was I have never wanted my money back so bad after watching a movie.
Well, for my listeners who may not be familiar with what we're talking about, Empire Magazine had their readers vote for the 30 greatest superhero movies all time, and of course their article online doesn't tell you if Empire gave them a list of movies that they could vote for, or if they just let them all left it all open for them. But anyway, the top 10 that they had in descending order was Guardians of the Galaxy at number 10, Watchmen at number 9, Unbreakable at number 8, Batman Returns at number 7. Number 6, Spider-Man 2. Number 5 was the original Superman movie from 1978. The Avengers at number 4. Superman 2 at number 3. X-Men 2 at number 2. And The Dark Knight at number 1.
And now let me see this real quick. First off, yes, The Dark Knight will be number 1. If you're going to make a list and it's number 2, you're just being a pretentious jerk.
That was the only movie I did not have an issue with as far as placement.
Well, I mean, when it comes to top 10, it's number 1 and then whatever else in top 10. I don't really care.
Yeah.
So, X-Men 2 deserves top 10. The 2 Superman movies, I don't know if I'd put them both in there, but I will make room for at least the first one in a top 10 list no matter what. I will always make room for that because that movie is so important to the genre. It created the genre. I mean, Spider-Man and all those others totally just ripped it off, and Spider-Man was great. Even though Superman 2 is a little bit better in some ways, I would still put Superman 1 ahead of it. Avengers, of course, is awesome. Spider-Man 2 is great. Batman Returns, okay,
why?
Look, I get it. I like the...
I'd have been okay
that
with it.
movie's becoming really popular in retrospect. I remember like 10 years ago, people wanted to forget that movie existed. Like, it's like, oh, the first one was good, but then the second one was terrible. And now all of a sudden it's becoming really popular in retrospect, and I don't know why. But it's actually a good movie. And I really, and I get that it's the whole movie, it's Tim Burton is German expressionism with that movie. That's the way the sets are. That's based on German expressionism, which is found in a lot of silent films from Germany, like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Have you ever seen that? Okay. A lot of silent films had that weird, like, everything looks like it's like distorted cardboard look or not cardboard, but plywood painted on look in the background. And that's what Batman Returns was doing. And it's cool. It's a good movie, a really good movie. Don't get me wrong. But like as a superhero movie, it doesn't really work for me. Would not be in my top 10. I don't think even in my top 20. In some ways, it's better than a lot of these. I like the artistic vision behind it, but it's weird. It gets overly dark, creepy at sometimes. Like the penguin stuff, like the penguins with rocket ships on their back is really stupid. I'm sorry.
I mean, the only good part about that movie was the cat suit and Michelle Pfeiffer. I mean, that was fine, but
no, there's a lot of good stuff in that movie, but like, there's also a lot of bad stuff in that movie too. Like, it's a movie that really tried hard. It's like it's like Ang Lee's Hulk. Actually, a pretty good movie, but not so much as a superhero.
Well, and what I found funny was Ang Lee's Hulk made the top 30 list, but the 2008 Hulk did not.
Actually, I agree with that. I can kind of see that. Like the 2008 Hulk with Edward Norton, I really like it. But as soon as the stuff where like all the scenes where he's like running out of Brazil and on the run, great. When he turns into the Hulk, it's like, oh my, it's not terrible, but it's just like, oh, it's another superhero movie at that point. Like, it's not really. Whereas with Ang Lee's Hulk, I can see why that made the list for the same reason as Batman Begins. It's a movie that they really tried to do something different with the superhero genre. Like, make it like this psychological journey through Bruce Banner's mind or whatever, and tell this like big story. The problem is it doesn't really work all the time. So like both of those movies to me get an A for effort. I would probably, like, if I were to give them a total grade, I'd give them a B- probably on both of them, because they just, as much as I really like what they were trying to do, I don't think that it really works for the genre. Or it may not be that it doesn't work for the genre. It's just, it's a gamble. It's a crapshoot. And I think with both those movies, they took risks, and they may not have come through. So I can kind of see that, actually. And that's at number 30, so it's where it belongs on a list, for sure.
I was just surprised, like, Winter Soldier didn't make it in the top 10.
Oh, that is interesting.
Because
But Kick-Ass is number 15. Oh, Winter Soldier is number 13, okay. But see, Watchmen at number 9. Look, Watchmen is the greatest comic book ever made. We all know that. Everyone knows that. It's the best comic book ever made. The movie's really good, too. It follows the story almost to a T. So a lot of people really like it for that reason. And I really like it, too. It's a great story. The problem is, as a movie, though, I still wouldn't list that in my top 10. That would be in the 20s somewhere. Because Zack Snyder has some shortcomings for me. Like, I mean, I'm not I don't hate him, but I'm not a Zack Snyder fan. Like, the stuff, some of his artistic ideas, I don't think are that great. Kudos to him for following the Watchmen storyline up until the very end. Almost perfectly. Like, there's some stuff that gets cut out, but not too much. Like, he follows it really well. But some of the stuff that he does is just kind of weird. Like, I mean, the movie was overly gory, which I'm okay with. Well, I wouldn't say overly gory, but the parts of the movie were very gory, which I'm okay with. But at the same time, like, I know, like, in the comics, yes, there's blood. In the graphic novel, yeah, there's blood, but they didn't emphasize it too much. And I think when you start emphasizing too much, you're distracting from the more adult story that you're trying to tell. It sounds like I'm nitpicking that movie, which I totally am. And I have nothing, like there's no other rebuttal to that. It's like, yeah, I'm nitpicking that movie. What else do we have on here, though? At number 11, Incredibles. Yeah, that's a good movie. Number 12, what is Blaze? Oh, Blade. Sorry.
But yeah,
I misread it. It's been
probably a typo on my part.
It's okay. It's been so long since I've seen that. I still wouldn't put that at number 12, though. Captain America, Winter Soldier is number 13. Days of Future Past, 14. 15 is Kick-Ass. I don't think that movie is any good at all. I think that movie is garbage.
I like the first one. The second one was okay. I mean, if you're gonna put one of the Kick-Ass movies on the list, first one's definitely.
I'm gonna take that back. Not garbage, but I don't think it's that great. Like, a lot of people love that movie, and Matthew Vaughn is awesome. He's a great director for this sort of genre. But I don't know. Maybe that's another one where maybe I'm kind of a wuss. Like, maybe the subject matter is too much for. I don't think so, but it's just like, is this movie a comedy or is this action? Like, what is this? I know it's kind of both. I know it's like a
I kind of saw Kick-Ass as a different take on the superhero genre, but it wasn't necessarily making fun of it. It was just
picking apart.
Kind of picking it apart, but it also was kind of almost refreshing in a certain sense too.
I need to watch it again. I didn't really care for it the first time.
I mean, the gore. I mean, it's a little bloody, obviously, and of course.
I guess I have I know. I remember what it is. I have a problem with I thought it was weird that I don't remember. Maybe that is a good movie, and I just forgot about it. Like, I'm trying to think of what I didn't like, and it's not coming to mind.
I mean, the girl in there that plays the main lead, that young girl that was in there. I mean, that to me what made the movie for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
she was cool
because her character is just so.
That's right.
Her she just kicks ass so damn bad.
And she killed all those gangbangers.
Well, and when was it? I think whoever it is, Nicolas Cage gets killed, and she just goes all nuts.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna give that movie another chance. Maybe I was just in a bad mood. Here's where I have a problem with this list, though. Here's where I have a real problem with this list of opinions that differ from mine. It's number 16 is Iron Man. Why is that so low? Like, Iron Man is pretty much perfect. Like, that is a really good movie. That one would be my number 2. But at least in the top 10, if you're not going to put it at number 2. Like, that is awfully low.
At least it should replace Batman Returns.
Oh, yeah, or Unbreakable or Watchmen. I wouldn't put Watchmen in my top 10, honestly. I know it's a great story, and I know it's based on a great book. A great book. Like, I'm not going to use that term lightly. Like, I actually mean great.
Because if I was to make up my own top 10, and I'm not going to try and list it all now, but, Winter Soldier and Iron Man would be in my top 10.
Iron Man for sure. Probably Winter Soldier.
I mean, as far as the first 2 Captain America movies, I mean, definitely go with the second one.
Then there's The Crow. I really like that movie. I really do like it. I don't know if I'd put it that high, though. I don't know. That's a tough one. Then there's Hellboy 2 I've never seen. Believe it or not, there's one I've never seen.
I thought the first Hellboy was better than the second.
Really? I saw the first one. See, I saw it in theaters. I couldn't tell you anything about it.
Like, I don't remember. It's been long enough since I've seen both, but I thought the first Hellboy was better than the second. And not that there's anything really wrong with the second one.
People act like it's great. Like,
I mean, it's good. It's good. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, they didn't do injustice with the second one, but for me personally, I like the first one.
Who does Hellboy? I know. Is it an independent?
I don't remember. I can't remember the director's name now. Right off the top of my head.
I mean the comic. Who does
I don't remember who does the comic.
Or is it? It's not. I don't think it's Vertigo.
Vertigo
is just DC.
But Ron Perlman as Hellboy, I like the way he did that.
He is cool. And then we got Dark Knight Rises at number 19, which is probably where I'd put it. But then it gets weird because number 20 is Batman Begins.
See,
which is way better than Dark Knight Rises.
Some of the movies I would have put a lot lower ended up in the 20s.
Yeah. And then after that, it's Batman. And at number 21, so we got 3 Batman.
Man's all in a row. Yes.
Batman at 20. Yeah, that's about where I would put it. Spider-Man is number 22. Spider-Man is great because Spider-Man pretty much relaunched the whole genre. I'd probably rank it a little higher, but yeah, I can see it going at 22. And then 23 is Thor. 24, X-Men First Class, speaking of Matthew Vaughn. 25 is Chronicle. What the heck is Chronicle?
That's with I can't.
Is that the Vin Diesel?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Is that a comic book?
I have no idea.
Is that a superhero?
I've never even watched Chronicle, so I couldn't tell you, but I believe that's the one with Vin Diesel. And I didn't even realize that.
We're guessing this, so if we're wrong, viewers, go
do
ahead
not
and
email me
yell
or
at us.
text me on this or write me or anything. But
Just put it in the comments section. Then at number 26 is Captain America, the First Avenger. That's a little low to me.
I just found the whole list interesting. I mean, for
27 is Man of Steel. I don't even know if that would be in my top 30, to be honest with you. Like, it's not as bad as everyone says. I think it's actually a decent movie, but Iron Man 3 isn't on here at all, and Iron Man 3 is a million times better than Man of Steel. Like, they both came out the same year, and it is a much better movie. Number 28 is The Rocketeer. Actually, I haven't seen it since I was like 7, so I really should hold my tongue. I don't really know if that's good. 29 is Superman Returns. That is BS. That does not belong. Man of Steel nor Superman Returns belong in this top 30. Like, that is... And Iron Man 3 doesn't make it. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break.
Well, since the last time we talked...
Superman Returns is not that good of a movie. Like, it's
okay for what it is.
Actually, Superman Returns is one of those movies where I see what they really tried to do with that movie. It's another one where they tried to do, but it just kind of fails on a lot of regards. Like it doesn't look that good. The actors who play Superman and Lois Lane are terrible. Like, terrible. I mean... You know, and then you've got poor James, what's his name, Marsden, as Lois Lane's boyfriend, who thinks that he's that kid's dad. He also plays Cyclops in the X-Men movies, and it's like that poor guy, because he's a good actor. And Cyclops, they treated that character like crap in the X-Men movies, and in Superman Returns, it's like, dude, this guy could have been Superman. Like, I know you picked Bryan Singer. I know you picked
Brandon Routh.
Brandon Routh because he looks like Christopher Reeves and because he's hot. But you should have gone with Marsden. And like, why do you even have James Marsden around if you're not going to give him good roles in any of your movies? Like, you did it to him in X-Men. Now you're doing it to him here.
Well, since the last time we talked, Sony and Marvel it finally kind of came together, and
we did talk about that last.
Yes,
time.
it was rumored that it was going to happen. It was not going to happen.
I was like, it's not.
And now Spider-Man's going to be part of the Marvel universe in a shared capacity. Now here's the interesting thing is obviously Sony has final say of who they hire as far as who plays Spider-Man. Okay. But Marvel also has input. Marvel is getting the use of Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for what they want. And in return, Marvel's going to help Sony make Spider-Man more of a legitimate, better independent at least for Sony's movies.
So wait a minute. The Sony there's going to be two different Spider-Mans.
No.
Okay, it's
same
one.
Same Spider-Man.
Okay.
Is going to be doing probably at least three new Sony Spider-Man movies, and at the same time being also incorporated into the Marvel universe, and their introduction will be in Captain America: Civil War. So they're already going to have him established. So you won't necessarily see a, quote, new origin story, which I'm fine with, because it's kind of like Batman or Superman. You already know if you're familiar with it, and if you're not, then you're just living in a closet or in a cave.
Spider-Man is the most mistreated by
Sony.
And by Marvel. Like, in the comics, like, he's the most mistreated character by executives ever. Like, they ruined him in the comics, and now they're going to ruin him in the movies.
Well, also, here's another thing, is sometime last week it was announced that the Russo brothers, who are doing the second Captain America, have made interest in wanting to direct both the Infinity War movies they're going to do. Sony has signed them with a 3-year first look deal And basically, from my understanding, is the deal does not prohibit them from still being able to work for Marvel, and they also be working for Sony. My guess is they've signed the deal with Sony because my guess is, I'm going to guess, and this is a purely guess, that the Russo brothers are going to be behind producing and making sure the stories for Spider-Man for the Sony movies are decent. And if that's the case, then they might actually be pretty good, because if they treat the Spider-Man like they've done with the Captain America movies, I mean, my guess is they're going to beef up the character pretty good.
He's a hard character to do. I think Sam Raimi came the closest. Sam Raimi came close with, but even Sam Raimi wasn't
Perfect.
spot on. Spider-Man's a hard character to do because, like, it's all like he's a total geek when he puts on that costume. When he gets out there, he's not a geek anymore. Like he grows out of that.
Uh-huh.
So like somewhere between Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, like if you like put them in a blender and just put them together, they would somehow make the perfect Spider-Man. But Tobey, and actually I'm gonna say this, so like the Tobey Maguire movies are way better, of course. I actually do like Andrew Garfield better than Tobey Maguire. Oh. And I like Tobey, but Andrew Garfield was closer. Really was the perfect Spider-Man. What I don't understand was why they the problem with the script was, why did they start out with him already being cool? Like he's already like this cool kid at school, like and that's kind of stupid. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. And like there are parts where he's like a little bit too cool, like on the first movie when he was with Gwen. I don't know. I actually don't hate those movies, by the way.
There's nothing.
Well,
they're watchable. I mean,
they have some big problems. I actually like the second one better than the first one.
And here's the thing. They consider the second one a failure, but if you look at the total global box office, it's still putting in almost $700 million.
Well, and that's Sony's fault. Like, trying to build this universe, don't do that. Just build the story.
Uh-huh.
Just build. That's what they did with the Raimi ones. That's what they used to do with movies. You build the story. Like, Marvel can build a universe because they kind of at least halfway know what they're doing. And they've proven to us before that they do know what they're, at least so far, know what they're doing.
No, I know they will never release.
And it's grown organically. They're not forcing this.
Yes. I don't know everything about what their deal is, and they'll probably never release the entire deal. But I'm guessing that Marvel is going to be behind most of the stories.
I think so.
I think that's the trade-off. You know, Sony has the right to hire who they want as far as direct their movies, but Marvel's going to be the one behind the story and the producing of it to make it cohesive for what they're wanting to do with using Spider-Man within their universe, keep it consistent within Sony's.
So are we going to start seeing, because we're about out of Spider-Man villains at this point, to be honest. Like, are we going to start?
There's one rumor where supposedly Iron Man is going to be in the beginning of the next Spider-Man movie, supposedly.
I don't buy that.
I take it as a grain of salt,
Yeah.
But supposedly he's going to be already established with the Spider-Man villains somewhat already established, but not, I don't know.
One more thing. For the most part, these Marvel movies haven't followed the books too well, which is good, because Civil War was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. I know it's popular, but it is terrible. So, like, I'm hoping they don't follow too much. And they need to be careful because, and I think they will be, they can't make, Iron Man was pretty much, it was a really bad storyline. Iron Man was pretty much a bad guy in Civil War.
Well, it sounds like, from what I read, it sounds like from what Marvel's put out, they said the next few times you see Tony Stark as Iron Man as well, he's not going to be, quote, likable.
No.
So they've obviously got some sort of plan.
They need to be careful with that, because
I don't think they're going to make him too unlikable. I think they're going to make him enough to, like, well, what the hell's this guy's problem? But yet still keep him on the likable side at the same time.
He's still redeemable.
Yeah.
That is good. I hope they do that, because they need to be careful with that, because Robert Downey Jr., this whole shebang is built on the back of Robert Downey Jr. making one of the douchiest and lamest and most poorly written superheroes and making him incredibly interesting and likable.
Yeah. Do you know
they need to be very careful with that.
Have you seen the list of the quote heroes that are already going to be in Civil War?
No.
Well, obviously Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, Black Panther, Spider-Man,
Black Widow. Man, they need to quit posting this stuff. Like,
Winter Soldier, and now Hawkeye.
They need to quit posting this stuff. Like, this is some like big spoiler stuff.
Basically, it's going to be, as someone said, basically Avengers 2.5.
Yeah, they really do need to quit posting this stuff though, because like Ultron hasn't even come out yet, and now I know. Well, I guess Black Widow is not going to. One of the characters in Ultron is going to die, and I was thinking it's either going to be Thor or Black Widow. And it's like, well, now it can't be Black Widow, like, probably, unless she's like a flashback. But of course, none of these Marvel movies, like other than surprisingly Thor 2, like,
well,
everyone keeps coming back to life.
Well, the reason why this is known is because filming for Civil War starts like this month or next.
Oh,
so they keep announcing for the casting, even though it hasn't come out yet, because this one's due out in May of next year. I think that's the reason why you already know who's going to be around. Now, yeah, it kind of takes away from Avengers, but I don't think that's going to stop Avengers from just rolling in the theaters.
I still think Thor's going to die. Like, I know there's going to be a Thor 3, but he's immortal, so like he's probably going to go to hell, and Loki will pull him out of hell or something like that. But I think Ultron's going to kill Thor in this one.
Because you made something to mention, because we already know the name of the third Thor movie, and you made
Ragnarok.
reference. Yeah, you made some reference about.
Well, not about the comic. I've read a lot of Thor comics, but I don't know what they have to do with Ragnarok. In Norse mythology, Ragnarok was the apocalypse. Basically, I'm not going to say it's the apocalypse, but it's like the Norse version of the biblical apocalypse, where like the gods finally like have their final war or whatever. Like, and Loki kills Odin.
Well, it seemed like to me at the end of the second one,
I think
they've already done that.
I think so. So I think like that started Ragnarok, and I think Thor is going to go to hell, and that's spelled Hel in the Norse world. But that's where we get. That's where the English language gets.
Then your theory of Thor is probably the one that dies, and
that's
Ultron
my theory.
is
that's my
probably
theory.
right.
And Loki is. I'm pulling this out of thin air. I don't read spoilers. I try to stay away from like stuff.
Oh, I'm sure when you see things I post on there, you're probably like, oh, I don't want to read this. I know.
Yeah, kind of. Part of it is because like I've got other things going on, but like part of it is also because like it's like no, I want to see.
You want to go
in surprised, because usually I'm not. I was surprised with Iron Man 3. Super surprised. Usually I'm not too surprised with these movies, but my theory is Thor's going to die. He's going to go to hell. And Loki needs help, so he pulls Thor out of hell.
And he'll pull him out of hell somewhere into the first part of the third Thor movie.
Yeah. That's my theory. Like, it probably doesn't make any sense, but like it's probably not going to happen, but that's my theory. And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to say this. It was a better story than what they made. There you go. I'm just kidding.
Well, I won't mention what I posted yesterday about the Suicide Squad movie, because it has spoilers in it.
I don't care about Suicide Squad.
So I will leave that one alone. Well, it involves Batman and their theory of basically Viola Davis's character, Amanda Waller, that she's going to play. The Joker's going to play a main reason because supposedly they're making Batman out to be the government doesn't like Batman, and she's fixated on Batman, and that's why she has the Joker move to where she's at in the prison, because supposedly in this universe that DC is setting up with Batman versus Superman and the Suicide Squad before they get to the Justice League, is no one's really seen Batman that much, hardly ever, except one person, the Joker. And they won't give away much, but supposedly because Joker killed someone that was close to Batman, which a lot of people are speculating is he killed Robin. So that's the theory, and there's rumors of whether or not that Ben Affleck will actually make a cameo in that movie, because they're supposedly, if you believe what you read, at some point Viola Davis's character is supposed to be watching some sort of security footage that happened to catch Batman, and supposedly the government thinks Batman's the link to finding all the different superheroes in the DC universe part of it.
Interesting. Okay.
It's an interesting thought. It makes it kind of, I can kind of see where they're going with it, but at the same time, it's like you kind of almost have to like Well, if they go that way, cool. But it's an interesting theory.
I wonder what's going to happen when the whole superhero genre finally implodes on itself.
I don't know.
I wonder what we'll watch.
I don't know. I don't think it'd be
Will we
anytime
go
soon.
back to watching like art movies again?
I
Like,
don't know. Superhero
God, I
movies
hope
are
not.
kind of like in popular like the westerns were in the late 50s and 60s.
yeah,
Right now, it seems to be,
it is.
and
the space opera movies in the 70s and 80s.
yeah. So, and the westerns didn't really die off till the middle of the 70s before the westerns really died off.
They got pretty bad in the 70s.
There's a few good ones.
Oh yeah, there was some great ones, but like there were some great ones, but they started dropping in quality.
Yeah.
There was a drop. There was a drop.
I don't think you're going to see a drop on those probably till another 4 or 5 years. Would be my guess.
I don't know. Like DC worries me. Like Man of Steel wasn't that great.
I say,
it wasn't that great, but it had potential. But everything I'm hearing about for the sequel and for the rest of these doesn't sound that good.
I'm still of the theory Batman and Superman.
And Sony almost killed Spider-Man.
Right. But I think Sony's come around and trying to make the deal with Marvel. They're trying to at least beef up Superman.
Reboots can we take from
Yeah,
this
I
character? Like, I mean, that's getting out of hand. And same with Batman. It's like, why do we keep rebooting this crap? Like, can't we just stick with it? And even Green Lantern. It's like, yeah, Green Lantern sucked. It sucked bad. But who cares? Like, make a good sequel and move on. Or, like, make a sequel starring a black guy as Jon Stewart. Like, there are lots of good African-American actors. Well, not African-American. Some of them are from England. Some of them are from Africa. A lot of good black actors could play that character. And we could just, it'll be a sequel, but give Ryan Reynolds a little cameo, and that's it. Like, there you go.
I still say with the DC movies, though, it'll be Batman versus Superman. It's going to be successful no matter what storyline because everyone's going to be wanting to see that matchup. And I think Suicide Squad will be the true. Actually, Suicide Squad might be all right because it's dealing with all villains. So, and that's something different that no one's really done yet. So that might actually.
Sony tried to do that. Sinister Six,
but it never got off the ground
Yeah.
because they had other issues with their Spider-Man, so it never really got off the ground. But I say Justice League will be their true
But
up or down.
Isn't this next Superman movie just pretty much Justice League?
It
sounds like everyone's popping up in there.
Well, supposedly.
And then, like, their TV shows don't have nothing to do with the movies. Like the
Well, they
Flash isn't gonna be
intentionally
the same guy.
they Warner Brothers said they have intentionally done that because they don't want to confuse the audience between the television and the movies.
Well, you failed. Like,
at least that's their excuse.
that's what they're doing is they're like basically cannibalizing their own product by doing that, by saying, well, the TV version has nothing to do with the movie version, but we're gonna bring
Go
them out
with
at
it
the
anyway.
same time, and it's like, so which one do I watch?
Well,
Like, I mean,
supposedly Batman. You'll see Batman a little bit at the beginning of Batman versus Superman, and again towards the end in a major way.
Yeah.
But the majority of the movie will be Superman. You will get brief glimpses of supposedly Aquaman and Wonder Woman in that movie. Brief glimpses, but not to the point of anything major. It's more or less cameos.
and can I say this about these Superman movies? There are more villains besides Lex Luthor and Zod.
Yeah.
Like, what about
Brainiac?
Brainiac's a way better villain than Zod. The first one could have been Brainiac instead of Zod. It's the same story. Like, he's coming after this lost Kryptonian, and he's going to blow up Earth. Wow, same story. Like, you didn't have to do Zod again.
Well, it's
And
kinda
don't get me wrong, Zod's a great villain, but still, like, I mean,
Yeah.
Brainiac's a better one. Like, he's much more interesting.
Well, it's kind of like with Batman. I mean, it seems like every time you get a new Batman, it seems like what's one of the first villains you see? Joker.
Not with the Nolan ones. The first villains were Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow.
True, but I'm saying though, within
That
the first
did
one,
it differently.
Yeah, true.
Like, and
Have you
I don't think there will ever be a series of Batman movies as good as those. Like, if there are, I'll eat my hat, but I don't think so.
Never know.
I don't think these with Ben Affleck and all these. I don't think
I'm willing to give Ben Affleck the benefit of the doubt at this point.
But I don't think they're going to be as good as those last
And
ones.
and it could be Ben Affleck's Batman may work well within a group setting, but it may not work by himself.
Yeah.
But then again,
Bad flick.
they could prove us all wrong too. The last thing I want to talk about, since we're almost pushing an hour and we've only touched 2 subjects.
Oh my.
Too much source material. I need to do these more often. Did you ever see, and I know we talked about James Gunn one of the last times, but he kind of stood up for the superhero genre movies. This guy by the name of Dan Gilroy, who did Nightcrawler.
Great movie, by the way.
Which I have not seen. Yeah. Basically came out and criticized the superhero movie genre.
He said that we've survived
the tsunami of superhero films.
I don't really see go ahead and read James Gunn's.
Because the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because it was kind of nice to see someone stick up for the genre. What was it? Part of his thing. I'll read the final paragraph that he wrote. It says, if you think people who make superhero movies are dumb, come out and say we're dumb. But if you are an independent filmmaker or a serious filmmaker, think you put more love into your characters than Russo brothers do Captain America or Joss Whedon does Hulk, or I do a talking raccoon, you're simply mistaken.
Yeah, I totally agree with James Gunn. I also want to point out that the Nightcrawler director, whose name eludes me, was that necessarily an insult, or is he just saying, hey, don't forget there are still other movies besides...
I'm not sure.
I don't think that was really an insult.
Because if you read the full thing James Gunn posted on his Facebook page, I think he took it as
James Gunn did.
Took it as an insult.
But I don't know if...
But then
I
again,
don't know if that was meant, like, we've survived a tsunami, like, maybe... Or is it just saying... There are so many
coming,
and there are kind of too many superheroes.
Well, okay,
it would be nice if
between 2015 and 2020, there's supposed to be a total of 47.
Yeah,
superhero
and
movies.
I mean, like, and I'm guilty of this too. Like, I mean, I've gotten to the point where I got a little better this year, but like last year, 2013, I should say, like the only movies I was seeing were superhero movies in theaters.
Yeah.
Like this year I saw some others, but and it's like, man, like, I mean, like I'm guilty of it too, but it's like there are so many, and I don't see a movie in theaters every weekend. It's more like
I pick and choose my movies that I want to go see.
Yeah, and so like, it's like a lot of movies that aren't, I'm like, well, let's see it on DVD. I mean, so I don't know if that was really meant
and who knows if Dan Gilroy's comment was meant as an insult, or he was just like, there's so many.
But even if it was an insult,
why?
Well, no, not if it was.
If it was an insult, then keep it to yourself. Because if he's never directed a superhero movie or never...
I think he's just saying that there's just too many. And there are still movies that aren't super... Maybe he is being a total D-bag. Like, I don't know. I really can't
tell. And as far as I'm aware, Dan Gilroy has never made any comment to James Gunn comment either.
He said that
at an awards
show.
Independent Spirit Awards.
That might have been not so much an insult, but a self-congratulatory remark.
Who knows?
Like to get everyone in the audience to pat their backs, and that is kind of annoying. I actually kind of agree. There are too many, but then again, when you think about it, it's like, the superhero genre is so big now that like most of the movies that I wouldn't have never considered superhero movies, like Guardians of the Galaxy. That's Star Wars. That's not superhero. So, like, yeah.
But then again, Marvel's also getting a lot of these...
Thor is a fantasy movie.
But then again, Marvel's getting a lot of these young directors who probably never would have considered ever doing that type of a genre-type movie to come in and do it.
Oh, yeah.
And, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I don't think so either, but I do think, like, eventually we're going to have to tone it down before it implodes. Going back to your list, Blade, that's an interesting one, because for years, even though Blade is based on a Marvel comic character, a popular Marvel comic character, I never considered that to be a superhero movie. Never. Like, it's a horror action movie. But then, like, I was thinking about it a couple weeks ago. It's like, well, I consider Thor a superhero movie, and I guess I consider Guardians of the Galaxy sort of superhero. It's like, might as well throw Blade back in the ring now. Like, just, yeah, like, at one time I wouldn't have. But
see, I never would have thought of Blade or Unbreakable or a couple of those movies that are on there as superhero movies, because I never saw them as a superhero movie.
Unbreakable, like, it's technically, like it's more like a...
and I don't know...
I don't want to say parody, but it's more like a superhero homage movie. because it's not really action. Mm-hmm. It's more like an homage to a superhero movie.
But I just found James Gunn, when I read his statement, and it was like, well, good for him. You know, he's standing up for the genre. He's just not going to let some guy, if he was insulting him, that particular is like, hey, you know.
Everything James Gunn said in there is right. Like, I totally agree with him. And I don't like when people have a huffy attitude about stuff. Mm-hmm. But then again, like, I mean, if the whole world would, if like we had nothing but Transformers movies, I'd probably go nuts. I'd probably say something huffy too, because those, not a fan of those movies. But like,
well, and there's probably going to be a fifth one too.
The thing is, though, like it's like I was saying, though, these superhero movies are becoming, in some ways, they're all kind of the same, but in some ways, they're becoming pretty diverse. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor.
I guess I do have one more thing. What did you think of the Warner Brothers CEO basically saying the DC movies are more, quote, realistic based and more gritty, or going to be more gritty or whatever than the Marvel?
Okay, well, if you're talking about the Batman movies, it's true, but those movies aren't part of your universe anymore.
Well, he was talking about the current, the Warner Bros. CEO talking about
we've seen
is basically Man of Steel. If you're talking the current set, and he's basically saying, oh, the DC movies are going to be set more in a real world, realistic type of thing, and basically criticizing Marvel. And it's like, dude, you've had one movie come out, and your others haven't even come out yet. It's like it's a wild ass
grabbing for straws. Like,
I found that kind of a stupid statement to be making, considering you haven't even shown the success yet that Marvel has.
Yeah.
Now, I could see if Marvel was making that statement towards DC with their success. I could see
if they made that statement years ago when we were talking about... I could see that statement if they were saying if the Christopher Nolan movies were still part of the universe, yes, but they're not. Like, you guys have already disowned them. Kind of a big mistake, I think.
Well, that and Christopher Nolan's also come out saying he'd really...
He wanted it to be
concealed.
Smart on his point.
Yeah, I mean, granted, he left it kind of open depending on how you want to look at the end of the third one. But I think he saw it as a 3-story arc in his version of Batman, and that's it.
That's actually really good. It's really good that an artist like him would like make sure that his story ends like that. Like, I don't know how he managed to do that, but probably because he made them billions of dollars off of those.
Oh yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, obviously, Marvel's gonna rule this year because
the other good thing is 10 years from now, Christopher Nolan won't go all George Lucas or
redo it.
Well, what's the guys? Peter Jackson did the same thing with these Hobbit movies. Like, yeah, they're still good, but they're kind of like, they're not as good as they were 10 years ago. And
I don't know if
I don't think he could, even if he wanted to now, unless we like have multiple Batmans or.
And even if you could have brought Christopher Nolan's Batman into the current universe, you'd never been gotten Christian Bale to play him again anyway.
No, I heard that he was interested in the prospect of it at first. I think that he would have done it.
And I think it would have cost him a lot more than probably what Affleck's.
You think it would? You think he's more expensive than Affleck?
I think so.
Really?
I think he would have been, because I think part of the deal with Ben Affleck is Affleck wants to direct a superhero movie. Oh. So the rumor is if they actually do get around to doing a solo Batman movie, which they have listed or whatever, is the rumor is he may be directing that.
Say what you will about Affleck as an actor.
As a director, though, he seems to have
he's top notch.
He seems to have a really good eye. Just too bad he can't pick better roles for acting for himself.
No kidding.
Now, not that I haven't seen Argo, because supposedly that's really good.
It's amazing.
And I know he directed that one as well.
Very good movie. Argo, The Town was also really good. Those might be the only two of his movies that he's directed that I've seen. But what else did he do?
I can't tell
Argo, you need to see that. That's a really good movie.
But if he brings that kind of talent to, say, if he does direct to, say, the solo Batman movie
or a Sandman movie, that would be interesting.
Then it might be worth.
Fair enough.
I mean, and of course that all depends on how much Warner Brothers and DC are willing to let him do with it as well. I guess that brings us to the end of another Reggie's podcast. Thank you for joining me, as always.
Thank you for having me, Reggie.
Anyway, there's obviously plenty more movies coming out later this year to talk about. So I guess with that, thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoy, and we'll talk at you next time.